Hi, this is Karen McCarthy, and I am so excited to share this project with you. This is a Chalk Couture Spring Gnomes transfer that I'm going to be doing on a Dollar Tree board. You can see I painted one side, so it's actually reversible. The first thing I do is write the name of the transfer on the back, just so I don't put the transfer back on the wrong side, and also know which one it belongs to if I'm doing multiple transfers at once. Then I get our fuzzing cloth. It's a drying cloth on one side and a fuzzing cloth on the other. These are self-sticking transfers, as you can see by it sticking to my finger. And we want to take some of the stickiness off, especially on a painted surface. They're silk screen transfers, so you can see how the clear portions are actually silk screen. They're reusable, so we want to get a little bit of the fuzzing onto the transfer so it doesn't stick to the surface. After we wash it, that stickiness comes right back and we can use these multiple times. So I do it 3 or 4 times, just depending on how much stickiness is still on the transfer itself. If you don't have a fuzzing cloth, you can use your pant leg, you can use a towel, just something that will get a little lint on it without big clumps. So then I'm going to put it on my surface, and this fits perfectly on one of those Dollar Tree signs. I'm going to smooth out all of the air bubbles that might be in there, make sure that it's adhering to the surface so that we don't get any bleed through. I love these transfers because really they don't have the bleed through that normal stencils do. So I'm using several different spring colors because this is a very spring transfer. You can see what the chalk paste looks like. This is chalk paste, not paint. So we do stir it to get the air bubbles out, and we use distilled water if it's getting a little thick to water it down just a little bit. I'm using a special tool to get into little tiny places. I don't want my colors to overlap for what I'm doing there, and so I'm using that to just get those little places without having to use one of our larger squeegees. Anyway, we use distilled water because tap water can have things in it that can cause mold or mildew in our chalk paste jars, and so we don't want that to happen. If you're just using one of our samples, you don't have to worry about that because you'll be using the chalk paste up quickly. I had some tickles going on, so you'll see me brush the tickles away from my face. So that is our mini squeegee, and that's what I normally use because I have pretty small hands. We just get a little bit on there, put it right on the transfer, and sorry, my hand is covering it up. And then we just wipe off any extra. Now I'm going to be doing this transfer in several stages. If we have the chalk paste drying too much, when we peel the transfer up, it can peel the paint or the chalk paste up. And so you'll see I'm going to do little sections at a time and then dry what I've done. Then I can put the transfer right back down and it won't peel that dried chalk paste up. If you're doing a one color design, you can do something like this in less than 5 minutes. But when you're doing multicolors, it just takes a little bit longer, but it still doesn't take as long as it looks like it does. So now I'm going around the outside of those flowers, making sure that I'm not getting my chalk paste onto that yellow. That's the center of the flower. I'm surprised I don't have my tongue sticking out of my mouth. You know how little kids do that when they're concentrating? I will tend to do that sometimes. I'm getting all that extra chalk paste off. I can put that right back in the jar as long as I haven't gotten another color on there. I'll be doing a technique in a little bit where we actually do blend some colors, and then we can't put it back in the jar because we don't want to have or a diluted color in there. Isn't that color gorgeous? I love that hot pink. I can't remember the name of it right now, but if you want to know the names of the chalk paste that I'm using, just let me know and I will get that information to you. If you have used Chalk Couture before, I would love to have you let me know what kind of projects you like the best. If you've never used it before, I am more than happy to send you a little Try Me kit. It's just a little chalkable chip about the size of a coaster with the materials that you need to do a design. Just let me know and private message me with your mailing information. If you're in the Anaconda area, I also do workshops. We call them make and takes. You can come and create a project that night and take it home with you. And there I got a little bit of the pink in my yellow, so I'm scooping that pink out so that I don't contaminate the yellow. I guess it's not contamination. That sounds like it's poison in it or something, but it does, distort the color. And obviously I couldn't find what I was looking for. I can lose something sitting in one place, so I had to find what I did with it. You don't want a lot of chalk paste on the squeegee at one time, especially when you're doing a little design like this. It doesn't take very much to actually do a design. If I was a little more tech savvy, I would speed up this part so you didn't have to spend so much time watching this, but I'm not. I'm afraid I would ruin the whole thing if I tried it. Chalk Couture projects are so cool because no two people do the same thing. So now I'm lifting the transfer up just over the part that I had just completed, and now I'm using my what do you call it? It's not a hairdryer. Anyway, that thing. And I am just making sure that the chalk paste is completely dry. I didn't want to wait until I got more done just because, like I say before, if you don't dry it and it starts drying too much, then when you peel the transfer up, it can peel the paste up. But since I'm drying it away from the transfer, I hope this makes sense, when I do lift the transfer up the next time, it will not peel that up. It's only when it's drying on the transfer itself. All right, looks like it's dry enough, so I'm just put that back down. And then I'm just going to make sure that I smooth it out in the areas that I have not put paste on already. Obviously, I made a little goo-goo there. I get it on my hand and I get it everywhere, but it comes off very easily with a wet wipe. I'm just putting my lids on my chalk paste because if they are exposed to air for too long, then they will start to dry out. And, if you don't have to rehydrate them, then that's great. So I'm using 2 different colors of green, and I'm just going to dab them just periodically on there. This is called the hot mess technique, where we are merging some colors just to give it a little more dimension. You never quite know what it's going to turn out like at the end because it just depends on how much you merge those colors. Sometimes you come up with whole new colors. So I've got that color on. Now I'm going to get the other color and just put it in there. And this is the technique where you do not want to put the extra back into the jars because you're going to have a kind of a mixture color, if that makes sense. Now I'm just going to scrape off the extra, and while I do that, it is going to kind of blend the colors together. Sometimes you get almost like a camo effect. The more you go over that, the more blended the colors are going to be, and the more likely you are to have brand new colors. It's a little more complicated when it's in between all of those little flowers, so I just have to be a little bit more careful. When you're doing just a straight shot, like when I will be doing the gnome in a little bit, it takes much less time. And now I'm going to dry that part because it is down by the gnome, so I just wanted to make sure that I don't have any issues with the chalk paste coming up. Chalk Couture is really cool if you're doing it on a blackboard or chalkboard surface, or say the glass on a picture frame. God, I lost my words there. Or even something that it has been sealed with a matte sealer, because I can then take that design off and put another design on it later if I want to. I love that because I can change things out for the seasons and not have so many things to store, where all my multiple surfaces to store before used to take up so much room. All right, so now I'm going to work on the gnome. I've got two different colors of blue. I think the darker one is Tide, and then Couture Teal, which is our signature color. I'm going to do that hot mess on this also. So I'm just dabbing the teal. You want enough, but not too much when you're doing the dabbing. So you don't want it so thin that it's not going to spread very much, but you don't want big globs of it either. That would just waste the chalk paste. Wouldn't ruin the design, but it would waste the chalk paste. Man, my mouth isn't working. Love the combination of teal and Tide. And I could have done a lot more detail on the gnome. I just didn't want to. You can do whatever you want when you're doing these. Like I say, every project turns out differently. All right, so now I'm wiping that onto a wet wipe because I don't want to put it back in the jar. And there we go. That's how easy it is. I'm going to wipe that little blob off, I'll bet. There we go. Cute, right? Okay, now this is the second one. This is the little girl gnome, and I don't know what happened to the beginning of that video. So I've already gotten the big flowers done. I'm doing the same process as I did before. When I get it on my fingers, I kind of get it all over, so I try to wipe it off before I get pink where I want green. If you want, you can fast forward to see the end, because this is going to be exactly the same technique. It looks like I forgot to do some of those little flowers. I bet I remember to go back and do it, though. The green chalk paste there, I don't know if you can tell, but it's it's got a different consistency. And that's because for quite a while I wasn't able to do any crafting. And my chalk paste, even though they were closed up, they dehydrated. And so when I excuse me, I got something in my throat. When I rehydrated them, because they had been like rock hard, they don't go back to the creamy consistency. The normal consistency is like creamy yogurt or cake batter, and it's beautiful. But you can still use these. They just don't look the same or feel the same, but they still work. So I didn't have to throw out all of my chalk paste that had dehydrated, so that was nice. Looks like I need my little tool to get a couple of spots so I don't get the green in there with the pink. See, I get it all over my fingers. I'm a messy but happy crafter. All right, so now I'm scraping off a little bit extra. Now I'm going to peel it up and dry that part. I still haven't noticed that I didn't get those flowers done. Maybe I'm not going to notice. I don't know. I love that top flower. It's like an echinacea cone flower. So pretty. Oh, I guess I did the hot mess with the flowers also, because you can see pink and purple in that lower flower. You can use that hot mess technique wherever you want. It's really cool and adds a little bit more dimension. Oh, there, I did notice. I was wondering if I was going to. I thought I had those other flowers on there, but I can't see my board right now, so I couldn't tell. If you do other kinds of crafting, I'd love to have you tell me what other crafting you do or what you do for in your free time, other kinds of hobbies. I also like to read and do gardening. I also do workshops where we make gnomes, actual gnomes with felt and fabric and that type of thing. And I love to do just about any kind of crafting. I love watching the YouTube crafting, especially the Dollar Tree DIYs. It's a little dangerous because then I have to travel to a Dollar Tree to get supplies, but it's fun. Our Dollar Tree, the nearest one, is about half an hour away. Okay, time for Miss Gnome. I'm just making sure that everything is down since I pulled that transfer up a little bit. And let's see, I don't even remember. I think I used the hot mess technique. Not on her hat, I'm just doing the hat straight. I think I got a little green on there and I wanted to get that off before I had that in the hat. Well, the mail lady's here. If you can hear the dogs barking, they love the mail lady. All right, a little bit of hot mess here, and we're almost done with this project. I do add some bows up at the top, and I don't remember if that's in the video, but I will put a picture of the completed project at the end also. Just make sure that you get all of the edges and the corners. It's real easy to not notice that you haven't gotten part of an edge. All right, let's see how it turns out. So cute. So what do you think? Did you like it? Talk to you later.